Woo, shit. Oh, nigga, I thought, hey, well, I thought that was your real house. I was like, God damn. I said, I'm doing everything wrong in my life, and he's doing everything correct. If that's what
you know what I noticed? These backgrounds, if it's something flat, it looks fake. But if you put like a room, like a deep room behind you, it could pass for real.
Hilarious.
That's
you
crazy.
Can't move too much. You know what I mean? Like,
hey man, you the first early person that we've had on the podcast on Urban Legendz. I want to salute you for that.
I don't know why people waste their lives sleeping, yo.
I agree. Well, the only person that beat you was George Wallace. This nigga signed on at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why. I don't know.
Wait, what time was the interview?
It was at 11 a.m. the next day, like that morning. He signed on at 1 in the morning. I got an email notification. Like, I'm like, why the fuck is George Wallace in the waiting room?
He probably hit the wrong shit.
Hey, shout out to George Wallace. Hey man, first of all, we got Cipha Sounds in the building. Appreciate you for coming on Urban Legendz podcast. And I want you to know I created this platform because I wanted to celebrate people that I consider living legends and people that I consider are making legendary moves out here. And you definitely one of those people. So yeah, man, I appreciate you, bro. So I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions.
Can I start with one question? I don't mean to interrupt your interview.
No, go for it.
Do we have to stare at Lee's headshot for the whole interview?
That's funny because I don't see it. I don't see it.
Oh Lord, let me. I thought I turned it off. Oh Lord.
Is he an actor or is he selling real estate?
Hey, this nigga's confused.
I'm selling fruit by the foot. Goddamn it! Now.
Honestly, I think the nigga sell dick on his spare time. Some of the stuff he's told me, I'm pretty sure he's a male whore. But
all right, you can leave Lee up there.
he got mad the other day because we had an actress on and he got on the call late and I didn't bring him into the interview, but he wanted me to bring him on just so he could holler at her. I'm like, nigga, that's not what this podcast is about. You hollering at women. So yeah, bro, I got a lot of questions, man. First of all, you grew up in Bronx, New York.
Sorry, what was that?
You grew up in Bronx, Brooklyn. Where you grew up?
I can't believe we're starting off on the wrong.
Where you grew up? Wait a minute.
The name of the borough that I grew up in is the Bronx.
Okay, no disrespect.
You non-New Yorkers always leave off the.
We do. I'm a Florida dude.
Wildly disrespectful.
I didn't know that. Don't beat my ass.
What part of Florida are you from?
St. Petersburg.
Okay, what if I just say, oh, you from Suburb?
Well, you know, we actually do call it the Bird. That's the funny thing. Oh, okay. Yeah. We call it the Bird and we call it St. Pete. We only say St. Petersburg when we're talking to white people.
Or when you're in court.
St. Petersburg, Florida. That's how we do it. Yeah, but when we talking to one of our homeboys, we just like, I'm from the Bird.
Yeah.
You from
the Bronx.
The Bronx. Shout out to that, man. And I love the Bronx, man. I actually make it my duty to go up to New York once a year now to do stand-up. Yeah. Because I love the atmosphere up there and I love being able to hit the different stages.
Yeah.
I want to know, when did your love for DJing start? So before you even got to the radio, when did you even decide that you fell in love with the art of DJing?
So I grew up in the Bronx until 10th grade of high school. And hip hop was just around. It wasn't something special to me. It just was what was around, right? In 10th grade, my mom moved us to a very white suburban neighborhood in Long Island. And it was only an hour away from the Bronx, 40 minutes from Manhattan, but it felt like I was 100 light years away. Like, so I got more into studying hip hop I was watching, Yo MTV Raps and video shows and listening to the radio because it just made me feel more like I was at home. And I was like, I would try to be a rapper. And within 3 days, I was like, this is a natural born skill. But I looked at DJing like, okay, this is technical.
Okay.
Like if I practice, I could learn it. You know what I mean? It's like it's machinery. It's like, you know, equipment. So if I practice, I could be good at this. So I just took it from there, you know?
Do you remember the bars that you wrote that let you know you shouldn't be rapping?
No, I never. Nah, I don't even know if I have any of that. I keep a lot of stuff, but I don't think I even wrote it down. Like I was like, all right, how do you start this? Okay. Nah.
So how did you then like link up? Because I don't know how to grow as a DJ. Like how? So you start DJing, and then do you start going to the clubs and start connecting with other DJs? How do you start to build your name in the DJ
Yeah,
space?
I mean, my story is so roundabout because I wasn't around any other. I was in like this weird white suburb, so I just watched and studied DJs. I watched videos. I studied. Like DJ Premier was like my model. All I was trying to do was copy DJ Premier, so I would just practice his scratches, and then as I got older, senior year of high school, and then freshman in college, then I started then I got a car and started going out. And somehow I stumbled into this college radio station, not even the college that I went to. And from there, I started meeting all these hip hop legends and DJs, and then like just started following them around, like helping out, carrying crates, you know, trying to be around as many people as I could be like that were like what I wanted to do.
That's crazy. I actually did college radio too. And let me tell you why I admire you. You don't even know I admire you from afar because I went to Clark Atlanta University and I had a college radio station, college radio show. And my dream was always like, luckily I've been fortunate in the acting space.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to do radio also.
Yeah.
Like that's always been, if anything, it was like my backup. It was like, if I don't make it, and stand up and acting, then I'll at least go get a morning radio show somewhere. Right. And you're somebody that accomplished that to a large scale. So how did you then go from DJing to linking up with Flex? And did Flex come first, or did you touring with Lil' Kim come first?
Yo, you know what's so funny? I'm working on you'll appreciate this because you're an actor. I'm working on a script right now about those days. So like I've been working with a partner of mine and like trying to give dates of when all this stuff happened. And when I start to really think about it, I don't know, like it's all starting to get fuzzy when you have to pick apart like September of 96, right. November 90. It's like getting fuzzy. So like it had to be Flex first. I met Flex through another DJ, DJ Riz. DJ Riz is like, when I get that big bag one day, I then take a piece of that bag and give it to Riz. You know what I mean? Because without him, there'd be no me. You know what I mean? And I just pray I get those big bags so I can take care of my people. But he taught me how to DJ. Like I was fucking around before that, but he taught me how to really DJ. He introduced me to Flex. And then he also had a manager named Jessica Rosenblum. She was like a huge deal in the New York City club scene and party scene. And she did the Tunnel nightclub where, you know, it was one of my first clubs. And she got me the Little Kim gig because all the labels and all the artists would call her because she had all the hottest DJs that she managed.
Gotcha. So
they would call her and be like, hey, I'm about to do this promo run, or I'm about to go on tour. You know, do you have a good DJ? And she set us up.
So I'm listening, my bad.
No, so I'm saying, so she got me the gig, but it was all kind of like at the same time because the Tunnel nightclub was Sundays. Touring with Little Kim in the early days was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if I came home Sunday, I could do the Tunnel, and they're all like overlapped.
So this is a question I always had about Flex. I've never met him. I've only seen the interviews, and you know, let me tell you the power of YouTube. That's how I was introduced to all of y'all.
Yeah,
was YouTube. Being in Florida, we didn't know about the New York radio life like that. This, and I know that's your OG, so I'm asking out. This is an outsider looking in. Is he an a-hole, or is he Hey, there go the legend. Is he
oh my God.
a-hole, or is he one of them people, once you get to know him, he's really nice?
Okay. So yes, he is my OG. The man could call me today, and I'm out of the DJ game per se. You know what I mean? He could call me today and be like, yo, I kind of feel like I want a sandwich. And I'll be like, what kind of bread? You know what I mean? Like, I will go to the ends of the earth for that dude because he gave me everything. You know what I mean? He's a weirdo. He's definitely a weirdo. He's not an a-hole.
Okay.
He's just like to himself a lot. And he's like, he's a nerd in the fact that he doesn't care about the things like the normal rapper life. He cares so much about DJing that it throws people off. Like if we talk about it like in an artist sense, he looks at DJing and not just the technical part, but like rocking a party. To him, it's art, and he's very serious about his art. So it's like when you look at like, was Basquiat an a-hole? Was Picasso an a-hole?
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people say they were, and they probably did some foul stuff. But, you know, the art just consumes them. So being on radio, being a DJ, and always being hot and current is an art form to him.
Right.
And if you get in the way of that, you will think he's a jerk.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
they say all geniuses are crazy.
That's what I'm saying. And like, my first part of my career was just trying to copy him. And then when I got a little older, I realized, oh, that's not the way to be. I got to be myself.
Right.
And that's why I started flourishing into these other worlds.
How long until you realized, like, how many years had you been DJing until you realized, yo, I got to be me?
Well, DJing is me. I'm talking about like copying him on the radio.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
Like I would say I started working for Flex when I was like 21, and then I got my own show when I was probably like 27, something like that. And still I was trying to be him, but the time slot I had was more about, it wasn't nighttime, people on their way to a club. The first show I ever got was 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on a Saturday. So my audience was doing laundry, going food shopping, washing their car, cleaning the house. So I had to adjust. I can't be yelling and screaming like Flex if it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday and you're on your way to the club.
Right.
So humor was working better for me when the people were just around the crib, you know, even barbecuing. Saturday, 12 noon on a Saturday, how are you using the radio? You know, this is pre-internet, pre-iPod.
Right. No streaming services.
Yeah, you might have a mix CD, but it only lasts 80 minutes. You know, so like I was trying to be that form of entertainment. So I used the skills he gave me and then tweaked them to fit my personality.
Hey, what things did you learn while you was DJing in the club to rock like if somebody starting out DJing, like what tips could you give him to get the crowd rocking?
Bro, let me tell you something. DJing now is a lost art form because it's like a lot of people, like older people, get mad at these kids. I don't get mad at them. I just feel bad for them. There's no more apprenticeship. If I didn't learn under Flex and a bunch of other DJs that I consider my OG, Kid Capri, Clark Kent, DJ Scratch, Pete Rock, like all these people.
Legendz.
They taught, like you would bump into them in a record shop. You know what I mean? And I'd be like, yo, Kid Capri, oh my God. I got a mixtape where you played this song, but what was the song after that? And he's like, oh, that's this. And then he'll be like, these 4 or 5 songs go together. You know, and like give you like little lessons. If you're doing a wedding, this little set goes good or whatever. So the kids now, you got all the hot songs, You got all the equipment. What the equipment is now just like literally a laptop and a controller.
Right. Same shit I got right here.
Yeah.
Right.
Bro, I could rock a party with just my laptop. That's how good I am. But, you know, you got to have this skill. You got to know how to read a room. You got to learn flow. Like, I'll hear kids, they'll play an old school song and then a Migos song and then a reggae song and then a Diplo song. And I'm like, my head is about to explode. So now, a lot of these clubs are not about dancing as much as they used to be. So if you're in One Oak, it's more about the bottle service, the flow of people, you know what I mean? But if you're just playing the right songs, fine. Everyone's gonna have a decent time. But you notice when a DJ is rocking, when he's doing a set, right? Like it's a song that connects to another song, that connects to another song, that connects to another song, where you create like a story, or that you create like, you know, looking at it like acting, you create like an arc. And reading the room. If people are not reacting, you are playing the wrong stuff. So
has there ever been a time when you were DJing and you played the wrong song? You're like, uh-oh, I done fucking stopped it. Yeah.
Of course, many times. Like you think you're doing a corporate event and you start playing brown eyed girl, right? And then you see some girls like this and you're like, oh, this is a corporate event. This is my corporate event playlist.
Right.
But for some reason, this company's way cooler. Then you get, you know, but I gotta look and be like, oh, they're not reacting to this. Or where sometimes they're going nuts. You know what I mean? So you play 3, 4, 5 songs and then you go, this is not right. And you gotta like abandon your plan. Make a plan, but if it's not working, you abandon it. And you get to the, you know, you get to the heat and vice versa.
This is what I heard. You ever played a song, like let's say a bigger DJ was coming on after you and you played a song that he wanted to play? You ever had that happen? And if so, like what was the conversation?
That's another thing I would teach young DJs nowadays. Know your place. If you're DJing at 11, you shouldn't be playing the hottest song. If you're DJing at 11 and you play Cardi B WAP, you suck.
You need your ass beat.
You suck. Nowadays, yo, bro, if you go into a club now, the same songs play every hour. It's disgusting. Is what it kind of turns me off to the club scene. Well, not now, before the world ended.
Right.
But you gotta like know your place, right? So if you're on at 11, play warm-up music. Yo, to this day, if I'm DJing with another big DJ, they will be like, yo, you didn't play anything. I'm like, I know. I have the party rocking with old stuff.
Right.
I have the party rocking with stuff like you haven't heard in a while. Like if I know I'm DJing with a big DJ and at 1 o'clock he's gonna play Cardi B and Travis Scott and whatever the hot songs are right now, I want to play stuff that you haven't heard in so long where the crowd is like, ooh, I remember this? Like
straight up.
And make a set where they're like, oh, like I'll play like 2005 Crunk. I'll do a whole Little John, Young Bloods,
hell yeah,
Gucci Man, but like stay in that era. And then everyone will start being nostalgic about high school parties and college or where they were, and you create this moment for people. And then the next guy gets on and has all the new stuff, and they explode after that.
Right. That's what's up, and that's called having respect too for the other DJ that's coming on afterwards.
Yeah, it's bad now, man. It's bad. Hey, everybody's for self.
Yeah, that's
I care about the whole party. Most people care about their set.
Right. That same thing, the same thing with stand-up comedians. If they open it for a headliner and they go out, you already know. Like I used to open for Affion Crockett. So I do impressions too, just so happen. I don't do them to the level that he do them, but I could do a Chris Rock and all that. But I knew, don't do a Chris Rock impression if I'm opening up for Afion Crockett, because that's just ridiculous.
If I was open for Avion, I would do no impressions.
Right. I didn't do any.
Yeah,
I didn't do any.
And then I know a lot, I host a lot at the Comedy Cellar. I care about the whole show. It probably put me in a little hosting hole because they love when I host because I care about the whole show. But if I open for Michael Che, he does a lot of crowd work, so I try to stay away from that. If I open for Dave Chappelle, he doesn't really do a lot of crowd work, so it's okay. It's like I know who I'm with, and I know I read the room. Same lessons I learned from Djing, I apply to comedy.
Hey, so when you was doing the weekend show, what do you feel like you was doing right to get them to let you start doing the morning show?
It was okay. There was a lot of New York DJs sounded the same at that time. Every New York DJ sounded like they were making a mixtape. Hey, yo, shout out my man, Harlem, 135th Street. So I was like, how do I sound different than them? So I just started adding, like I said before, just adding humor. And I would call 2 Chinese restaurants and put them on conference call with each other, or stuff like that. I would tell a contest winner they won a contest, but then I would put them on. I would act like I hung up the phone, and they'd be like, "Oh, hello," this little jokey stuff.
Right.
And then I would talk about topics in another way. Whatever everyone's talking about, what's another angle? Just to be different. And they were like, oh, this kid really puts thought into what he talks about. And it's not just shout out hour.
Right. And so is that when Peter Rosenberg came into play or Angela Yee? That was another one I was confused. Did you work with Angela Yee first or Peter Rosenberg? Angela Yee.
I had a morning show on Shade 45, Eminem's channel on Sirius. And Angela Yee was my co-host there.
And how did y'all link up?
I knew her through the industry because she used to manage a couple rappers, but she got placed there by Paul Rosenberg, Eminem's manager or partner that also owned the station. So he gave me the show, and then I needed a co-host, and he said, can we try her? I was like, I never heard her personality. I know her, but I never heard her talk. So we tried her for a week, and amazing.
She's incredible.
I always say I taught her how to do radio, but she had the personality. She has a lot of swag. But I taught her literally this is how you turn the mic on. This is how when the song is playing, bring it down a little bit, turn this up. You know what I mean?
That's incredible, man. Yeah. What I always tell people, what I love about her is she's very funny on the low. She's a sniper. You know, she's
slick. Slick.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. And so then how did you and Peter Rosenberg come about?
Then here's why I was blessed, Just. I come from New York City. Getting on radio in New York City is the hardest thing, is what everybody wants to do. That's the pinnacle. Most people don't make it, obviously. There's only but so many slots. A lot of people, even if you're born in New York, you have to leave New York, get your chops up, and then try to come back. Go to Philly, go to North Carolina, go to Arkansas, wherever. And then when you have experience, you come back to New York and try to get a job. I was blessed that my experience gaining years was at satellite radio, which was in New York City.
Right.
So even though I was somewhere else getting my chops up, cutting my teeth, I was still able to do my weekend shows and fill-ins on Hot 97. So I'm telling you, I count my blessings for that situation. Otherwise, I would have had to move. So then, because of the morning show on Sirius, they were like, okay, this kid's been training. Let's work on the morning show. And then they was trying to get Peter Rosenberg in some way, and they put us together. And yo, skinny Cipha.
You're still skinny in my heart. Your voice sounds skinny.
I'm working on it back and forth. Yo. So then they put me with Rosenberg, and then we just went from there.
What do you think about y'all chemistry work so well together?
So we had a lot of issues.
I'm about to say, you looking like, I really don't like the motherfucker.
No, me and him had a lot of issues off the air. On the air, we had magic. The thing about him, he got a big mouth. Peter Rosenberg got a big mouth. I've gotten him out of getting his butt beat many times. But he loves hip hop, like to the core. And on that level, when us talking about 90s hip hop together, we talk about DJ Premier versus Dilla, like we could talk for hours and hours and hours. Now, managing him and trying to get him to show up to the morning show at 5:30 on time, you will pull your hair out. You know what I
so
mean?
the white man was late this time. Is that what you're saying?
No, not this time. Every time. This white man hated being on time. So as a manager, I hated him. But the chemistry we had, like, we like.
Wait a minute, I didn't know this. So you actually managed him also?
No, I mean, like, I was the lead mic on the morning show.
Gotcha.
So, like, I had to manage. I was the quarterback.
Gotcha.
I always say this, like, yo, the dude Rosenberg is way more talented than me as far as like wanting to express his opinion on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I was like a very private guy. I didn't want to express my opinion. I was great at, all right, we're about to talk about this topic. You go here. I'm gonna go to you. You bring this energy in. I'm gonna go to you. You crack the joke. I'm gonna crack a joke. Boom, boom, boom. That's a skill. That's a quarterback skill. He was just like off the top, be able to do these rants, which was amazing. And then we were like, we both loved, like, you know, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I love that show.
Yeah, we love like this, a lot of the same stuff. So we just hit it off with that. But then also he would teach me a lot of stuff. I would teach him a lot of stuff. Like, he didn't know any, like, you know, 5% culture is like 5%.
Man, nah, I was gonna ask you about that. What exactly is 5%? I hear it, but I don't know exactly what it is. And I'm too lazy to get on Google and type it up. Clearly.
Okay. This very quick version. Okay, you know the Nation of Islam.
Right.
You know Malcolm X, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Nation of Islam is mostly like black Muslims from the 50s and 60s started this movement and created their version of civil rights in the 60s, blah, blah, blah. But they're Muslims. There's a guy who left that organization and started what they call the 5% Nation in the 70s. It's the teachings of the Nation of Islam without the religion.
Oh,
5% don't believe in, like, there's a mystery God in the sky. You ever hear, like, when in the 90s when people are like, yo, peace, God, what's up, God? Because black man is God, because we are the creators of the civilization. And, you know, all the birthplace of humanity is Africa. So, like, black man, that makes you God. So that's where that comes from. I could get into it for hours and hours. But basically,
I had Brandon T. Jackson on, and he was saying the same thing you saying right now.
Yeah. So 90s hip hop was the pinnacle of, like, the 5% Nation in the hip hop world. Brand Nubian, Rakim, Wu-Tang, all these people were like 5%ers in a way. And then also a lot of 5% language became slang because it was talked in the street so much. So peace, God, or like Cipha is a 5% word. Like, yo, you in my cipher right now. You in my circle, right?
Gotcha.
So anyway, so I would teach Rosenberg, like, he would listen to Wu-Tang songs and be like, oh, what does this mean? What's power culture? Or what's power? Or what's see Allah rule? And I'd be like, oh, that means car. That means this. That means that. And so, like, his love for Wu-Tang was only at like an 80% because I had to translate.
Right.
But we would just talk hip hop all day.
Man, that's amazing, bro. So I know you widely known for breaking Rick Ross and Rihanna on the radio. Who are some of the other artists that you broke that people don't usually say?
So Rick Ross and Rihanna are my two biggest claim to fame because I literally was the first to play them ever. Like, nothing before me. Well, not Rick Ross, because Khaled was playing in Miami, but in New York. But Rihanna was like, nothing ever played before I touched it. but like I was a part of a lot of like, maybe not like I broke like Sean Paul was a big one for me, but I wasn't the first to play. A lot of people were playing it. I was just pushing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Early 50 Cent. Again, I wasn't the first one to play it, but I was like really, and also like I only had a small slot, but I would give records to Flex and be like, I think this is gonna be it. So like, even though I wasn't playing it to break it, I was bringing it to the guy who could break it.
Gotcha.
Like Mobb Deep, Quiet Storm came
Classic.
from me. I heard Prodigy working on it in a studio one day. I was in a studio and I heard Prodigy next door working on it. He goes, yeah, this is for my solo album. And then somehow it leaked onto a Clue tape and it wasn't even finished. And I took that tape and played it at the Tunnel, like early. And the label guy from Loud Records was there. I was like, what is this?
Right.
I'm like, some Prodigies. And then a couple months later, it became the Mobb Deep single. So like, because of me playing it there, Cameron, early Cameron, I was a big part of. DMX, Noriega, Big Pun, all these artists were like, I can't take sole responsibility, but
Right,
like,
but you was pushing it on the radio or giving it to Flex and these other guys.
Like Sean Paul, I brought around to a bunch of labels trying to get him a deal. I was like, I love dancehall music, but this guy can cross over into the whole nother stratosphere. So, you know, I kept, I was bringing them around labels, trying to push them, and it took off.
Now, this is the other question I had about when you breaking artists. Who gave you that music? So like, how did you discover Rick Ross, and who gave you Rihanna? Like, who put in the call, or did you like what was that? Yeah.
Yeah, Rick Ross and Rihanna are a little different because of my track record. They then called me specifically. So Ross, I got that from DJ Khaled. We were in Miami, and me and Khaled were like brothers back then. Not no more, distant cousins.
Khaled sitting in his palace in fucking Miami right now, so that's why.
A bunch of palaces.
He got marble on the wall. His house looked like your background. It's,
Yeah. So I was in Miami, and he was like, "Yo, it's the dude I'm playing down here. You got to hear this record." And we were in the studio, and he played it for me. And I brought it up to New York. And the reason why I got to break Rick Ross is because Flex had went out of town on a little college tour. He was doing like 10 colleges. So he's like, yo, you're going to fill in for me for 2 weeks on the radio.
Ooh, that's big.
It wasn't for those 2 weeks of me doing Flex's time slot, I wouldn't have been able to break Ross.
Damn.
The timing was like perfect. So I was playing it every day, going crazy on it. The way Flex would break records, but I was trying to do it with a record I found. Rihanna, I was known as like the Caribbean guy. We had a reggae show on Hot 97, Bobby Condas and Jabba. But I was known to also play a lot of Caribbean music. And I would try to break reggae songs that I think could cross over.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, we got this girl from Barbados. We want you to hear her. And then it just went from there. So like, because of my Caribbean affiliation is how they said, oh, who should we get to try to hear this, And they were like,
Gotcha.
Oh, what about Cypher Sounds? He knows Caribbean music and he knows pop music and all that kind of stuff.
Now, why do you feel like, because I just started doing music like yesterday. But like, I was like, you know what I'll do? I'll put out a mixtape. No, it's actually surprisingly going really fucking well. I put out two tapes so far. But this is what I wanted to know, because I'm not even one of them people that even really care about getting on the radio per se. I'm just trying to do the music and build, my following. Yeah. Why do you feel like radio stations don't break artists more often?
Oh, it's so different now. It's okay. Like I said earlier, you have to think about how people use radio. What do you use it for? Back in the day, it was for music, news, gossip, weather. Everything came from the radio. You were in your car, you got a little bit of everything. You got quick news stories, you got the weather, you got the traffic, you got music. Like, you don't need any of that anymore.
Right.
Like, everything is on our phones, right? Music, weather. You check your app before you leave the house. All the new music is there. All the news stories are there. So like, radio had to go through a big transformation where now it's like, I think it's more personality driven. Like, you listen to a certain personality that you like, or you're just not a smartphone type of person.
Right.
I mean, there's still a lot of people who just have a regular phone and like just use it for phone and email and text and still listen to the radio for certain things, you know?
Right.
But so basically now you have a problem of radio gets its money from advertising.
Straight up.
You make more money from advertising the more listeners you have. Research shows that hit records make the audience listen longer. So you think about quarter hours. Radio's done by quarter hours, right? So if more people listen longer in this quarter hour and go leak into the next quarter hour, your ratings go up. You make more money selling commercials. If you play a lot of new stuff, people are going to turn the radio off or switch the station.
Right.
So it's not a tool for that anymore as much as it used to be. Now you got YouTube, SoundCloud, even Spotify got, you know, playlists that are more powerful than radio. You know, oh, if you make it to Rap Caviar, you made it. You know what I mean?
One of my songs got on the Spotify playlist. So you do see the spike in your numbers too, though. I was like, oh shit.
That's where people go to listen to new music.
So, okay, so I had a meeting with Coach from QC one time. They was trying to hire me to write a movie, because I write too. I wrote Half Baked too. That some people know and some people don't know. Who gives a fuck? So it hasn't come out yet. I don't think they filmed it yet. So anyways, he found out that I write or whatever.
Yeah.
And in a discussion, you know, it wasn't, I don't know if it was that particular discussion or if it was, or if I just said that shit just to let people know that I write. But the point is, I heard Coach say that if you want a song to pop, it was at Diddy's thing. Diddy was having some type of rap summit or whatever.
Yeah.
He was saying
the revolt thing.
The revolt thing.
Yeah.
He said on that panel discussion, he was like, do you want to know what it takes for a song to go #1? It costs $200,000. When he's saying that, because, you know, we all know like payola is illegal. And I heard you said that's the thing that Flex taught you, was to never take money to play a song on the radio.
Yeah.
What exactly does he mean by that when someone makes a statement like that?
I mean, payola is a weird term. Payola comes from the old days where you put money in a plastic, in a brown paper bag and hand it to a DJ. That doesn't really, I mean, I'm sure it happens some places, but that doesn't happen on the scale that it used to have. Like, this is not the 1950s that you're trying to get your bebop song. I mean,
you hang around gangsters with Tommy guns.
Yeah, but there's a lot of there's a lot of you know, digital marketing. Like when you see a commercial on your Instagram, somebody paid for that. You know what I'm saying? When you see a commercial on YouTube, someone paid for that. You have to produce the commercial. You have to get it in a spot. And when you pay Google for your search, I don't remember what it's called, SEC or whatever it is, when the search, your things comes up first. Right. All that costs money. When you do a promo tour is like you're just trying to get your single heard, right? So you go to all these radio stations and you're the new artist or you got a new record and the radio station goes, yeah, come by the radio station, you play the song, and then you go do a little club performance. All that's for free. Like, you're not getting paid for that. Right. But how are you getting there? How are you eating? It's like 3 people. Your artist got to go, the hype man, the DJ, the road manager. You know what I mean? So that's 4 flights or 4 rooms. You know what I mean? So all that, every little bit costs money.
No, you know
And
what's so funny?
there are also like consultants that say, yo, the Southwest, I own that. I could get any song popping in the Southwest. So you gotta pay that guy to promote your record. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's so funny? I told my homeboys, people ask me like how my music is going. And I'll tell them the song I put the most money behind is the song that's doing the best.
Yeah.
The natural phenomenon like a Lil Nas X where some shit kind of takes off, that's a phenomenon. Like it seems to me like, okay, I put the most money behind Fire Flame. I promoted it, like you said, with money on Instagram and Facebook. That's the one that got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of streams and millions of views on Instagram. The ones I put the least amount of money behind, that's the ones that got the least amount of views.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So,
I mean, but that being said, you want to build like notoriety. You know what I'm saying? So like, hopefully, if they like the one song you put money behind, they'll go find your page.
Right.
Listen more. That's the game. You know what I mean? You can't put money behind every single song. You want to put it behind the best song so that you become familiar and people start liking you. Yo, I like this guy. And you'll go listen to some other things.
Right. So, my bad. I'm listening.
No, go ahead.
When you was doing the morning show and they brought on Ebro and Laura Styles, what made them bring them on in the first place? And you disappeared. Something happened?
I don't want to answer that.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay,
no,
my bad.
I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. Shit. Hey, I didn't know if it was a sore spot. I was like,
no.
Okay. Hey, I don't want no problems. You know what I'm saying?
Totally joking, yeah.
No, hey, because I actually did have somebody. I had somebody in the phone. Do you know who Spoken Reasons is?
Who?
Spoken Reasons.
No.
YouTube dude. Well, God damn it. I had him on, and he had a bad episode of Wildin' Out, where he got into it with another YouTube dude, and I asked him about it. He just hung up on the call. That nigga, he hung up, y'all. He was like, "Fuck that." Then he fucking called me and asked me not to put. He asked me not to put it in the final cut of the Urban Legendz podcast. I'm like, yo, man. I'm like,
that. Okay, remember how you asked me about like what does a DJ need to know nowadays? This is anybody that does interviews. An interviewer can ask any question, and you know what? They're probably gonna ask the questions you don't like. Learn how to deal with that. Learn how to weave. Yo, when you call back and you're like, yo, please don't put this part in the interview. Like, why did you say it then?
Straight up.
Like, don't say it. Don't say it. Or like, yo, I can't really talk about that. Is it like make the non-answer interesting?
That's what I told him. I told him the same thing. I said the better thing for you to have said was, yo, that's in the past. I done moved on. I don't really want to talk about it. I wish him nothing but the best. You know, and keep it, because when you do something like hang up, you automatically look like you're still salty about the situation. You know,
and if you are salty, just say, yo, I'm still salty about that. I don't want to talk about it.
Straight up.
Like what? I don't understand. Like this is like, I guess there was like more people. That's the thing about being truly independent. There's not these like we used to have like interview what do you call it? Like media lessons, media training,
right,
and all that kind of stuff. And it's just certain things are just common sense. And don't do the interview if you don't want to talk about things. But anyway, so going back to Ebro and them. So Laura came first. Laura, K Fox got fired or left, or it was like kind of shady. And Laura was a good friend of mine. She was great on radio. I suggested her. Everyone knew her. We went through the process, and she got the job. I love Laura Styles to this day. Ebro was a little more complicated because everybody says Ebro stole my job. That's one way to look at it. You could say Ebro stole my job, or Ebro was also like the way Hot 97 was shifting me around, which eventually led me to want to leave. Ebro was also getting shifted around and things were fucked up behind the scenes. And they wanted me to be on more Charlemagne vibes, and that's not my vibe at all.
Gotcha.
I don't. Charlemagne does it well.
Right.
Charlemagne has his vibe, and he does it well, and I am thoroughly impressed with how well he does it. You know who else does it well? Ebro.
Right.
He does that vibe well. I don't want drama. I don't even like talking bad about people in my regular life. I don't want to talk about it in I wanna play music and have fun.
Right.
The moment you tell me I gotta do drama, it's just not me. Now, I can say that now very clearly. Back then, I didn't have the clarity in my life and my focus and my personal mission statement to say it like that. It just didn't feel right. And I tried it because Hot 97 asked me to, and it didn't click. It wasn't my thing. They wanted somebody who could do that. And to Ebro. You know what I'm saying? But Ebro was my boss, and then they made him just morning show guy, and he wasn't the boss of the radio station anymore. So then it got all funny. You know what I mean?
So wait a minute. So he was the boss at the radio station. Was he like the program director?
Yeah.
And then
He started off as music director and then became program director.
And then he was like, okay, now I'm finna do the morning show.
Not 100% by choice. There was like an ultimatum, like, you're not gonna be program director anymore. You want to leave, or maybe we should put you on the air. You know
and who above him made that decision?
There's a lot of people above. Like there's at that time, I don't even remember the guy's name because he didn't last long. But what happened was Hot 97 merged with another company, and that other company's GM became our GM. So it's like the other company's culture became the top of our culture.
Right.
So that's why I left, because I had a lot of problems with that guy. But every GM before that loved me because they knew I gave my blood, sweat, and tears to Hot 97. But then a new guy came in and was like, we don't do things like that. I'm like, no, we're Hot 97. They're like, no, we're this company. Even though we bought them, this is all politics, baby. We bought them, but they made that GM the main boss.
Wow.
So even though we bought that company, and I say we, I didn't have nothing to do with it, but I'm just saying our company bought that company, but made him the boss. So it was a lot of power struggles. There was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes.
So after you left there, you went to they signed you to Rock. Is that when you went to La Familia or Rock Nation?
Rock Nation, yeah. Rock La Familia was like a job I had when I was on radio.
So, I know you talk about it on other shows, but I want to talk about, how you linked up with Jay. And then also what's the biggest thing or best piece of advice that he's given you or you've seen through his actions?
Hove?
Yeah.
It's too much to list. First of all, I was talking about this the other day, and I remember the first time I met him was in London, and I had to, his DJ, I was doing a show with Little Kim, and Jay's DJ couldn't get into the country. I think it was Clark Kemp. I'm not 100% sure. So they asked Little Kim if they could borrow me. And, only two people got that vest, me and Jay-Z.
Hey, who designed it?
It's Pharrell, Billionaire Boys Club.
Damn, fire.
It was a sample. So
I got the knockoff version. I bought it from Ross.
you got a $100,000 Boys Club.
I got the $10 Boys Club, and I got the body of a toddler. All right, I'm listening. My bad.
So I had the DJ for him, and I messed up, like the record messed up the way he came on stage. And I was like, I wonder if this is on YouTube. And I found it yesterday, yo. DJing in London Carnival in like 97. It's hilarious. That's when I first met him. So throughout the years, he's been a great, 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 great mentor guy. I worked with him in a couple different instances. And then when I left Hot 97, his company, Rock Nation, started managing me. But a good piece of advice from Hove is like, yo, I don't know. I've had hours and hours of great time being alone. Like I like to call it like J time when it's
Right.
like solo, or like I'm around Dave Chappelle a lot and I call it Dave time. Like you'll get the gems when it's just one-on-one or like two other people. But he was telling me like you can't, like it's very simple, but it's also not, like you can't do things that go against who you are. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I think we were talking like, you know how every big rapper like tries to be in movies or whatever?
Yep.
And I was talking to him about it. I was like, yo, why you don't just be in movies? And he's like, I'm not an actor. I don't want to be an actor. I respect actors so much that why would I want to step in that world? Like, and I don't like it. You know what I mean? And that's the main thing. A lot of people do things they don't like because that's where they think the check is.
Right.
And
I.e., people on TikTok, 40-year-olds fucking dancing on TikTok.
Bro, like, there's no way you like. I mean, if you do like it, like you know that show Impractical Jokers.
Yeah.
Like I'm friends with all those guys. Like Joe, Joe. He's 40 something years old. He loves TikTok.
Right. My
Like
Paige Kennedy loves TikTok.
Yo, he's silly. He loves it. But like I know dudes that's like, oh, I gotta do a TikTok video. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. You don't have to do it.
Right.
You know?
Right. Man, how is it? Oh, this is another question I had real quick about the being managed. I heard you say that they manage a music career.
Yeah.
What does that entail like right now? Like what or even like pandemic, like what exactly is it, like booking you DJ gigs or do you produce beats or?
Yeah, anything music, like mostly DJ stuff, but like also like hosting events, DJing, like like I was supposed to go on tour with Jay-Z, like all that kind of stuff. And then like, yeah, anything like I've done some really big private parties through them. I was supposed to DJ Trump's inauguration.
That's crazy.
Why
didn't you?
They asked a bunch of DJs at Rock Nation and they all said no. And I was like, I'll do it. Because my thing is, because we comics, right?
Right.
The story alone, the comedy of it, not that I support anything politically.
Right.
But the story alone and getting like a selfie at a Trump thing would be like, just the comedian brain was like, this is going to be hilarious. And everyone's like, don't do it. He's this, he's that. I was like, I don't care. I want the story. And then they vetted me and they were like, no. This guy can't do it. But
the damn vetting process.
I think it was really my morning show. And I really, really believe it was Peter Rosenberg that messed it up for me. Because if you vet me, you see all his like rants and like stuff going off. And like his whole family's in politics. So I think that's what did it. Because I don't have no nothing bad stuff on my record.
Nah, you don't.
But I think they saw that and they're like, no, he's a talker. So
you are very blessed, man, with your career, because you went from New York circuit radio, and then you have two of the greatest mentors in fucking history. Three. You got Funk Flex, then you have Jay-Z, and then you have Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
So how did you?
I have more, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. So how did you link up with Chappelle? Because as a comedian, that's every comedian's dream, is to be Chappelle's friend and be able to call him and he actually picks up the phone.
It's not. First of all, that's not hard. The dude is Dave Chappelle, one of the realest dudes on the planet. If you meet him and get along with him, you can be his friend. It's not like this crazy, mysterious way. Like, he's just a great dude, right? Now, getting to him is a little hard because he's a little bit of a recluse and he's always, running, always working, but it's not hard. I know people that are nobodies, but he's friends with them. You know what I mean?
Shout out to the nobodies.
Yeah, shout out to the nobodies out there. But he's just that dude, yo. And I met him through music because Dave is basically a rapper in his mind. And in the like 99, 2000. I met him through Mos Def and Talib Kweli, who like we're all still friends. You know what I mean? And I got to do the Chappelle show. I was a DJ on the Chappelle show, and he's the one that like told me I had like some kind of comedic chops and I should do comedy. And he told me this in 2002, and I didn't start until like 2007 because I was like, what are you talking about? Why would I do comedy? But obviously
Damn. So we basically really started doing comedy around the same time. I moved to LA in 07.
07 you moved.
Yeah, 07 when I moved out to LA. I graduated from school here in Atlanta, Clark, Atlanta. Then I moved out to LA. I think it's an interesting story though, how you became the DJ, because that was new information to me. I never knew you was the DJ for Chappelle show when he would for the TV show. How did that come about?
I was hanging with him at a party, and I love telling the story because it's like he didn't care. We're hanging at a party. He's like, yo, I'm about to go to the Comedy Cellar to do a set. You want to go? So I was like, yeah, I'll go. I never been to the Comedy Cellar. I only been to a couple comedy shows before that. We walk over there. We're talking. Mind you, we were on like, the party was like, I don't know, like 25th Street or something. We walked to the cellar. It took like half an hour. Our whole conversation, he goes on stage and had jokes about what we were just talking about.
While y'all were walking to the show.
Yeah, he did like 2 hours that night. And some girl, I don't even remember the girl.
So wait a minute, he did 2 hours, and this was pre-Chappelle show, and they let him do 2 hours?
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, he was already big in that world.
Right.
He was already in the stand-up world, in New York especially. He was, in 2000, he was probably like, I was 20. He was probably like 28, 29, something like that.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
And he was this 19-year-old kid that took storm in New York City. Like, you heard about that 19-year-old from DC? He's killing it. You know what I mean? He was like that. So yeah, he was the man in the cellar, in the Comedy Cellar, in any club he went into. And he did like 2 hours, and our whole conversation from where we were walking somehow got into his jokes. And I was like, this dude is amazing. Then we leave, and he's like, let's go get something to eat. And he goes, yo, I'm doing some pilot for Comedy Central. He's like, can you DJ? So like there's like energy and vibe in the room. And then I was like, yeah, sure. And then Neil Brennan calls me and was like, yo, that's his partner. Come do this.
Yeah, I know Neil.
Yeah, be here at this time, do this, do that. And then I did it. We shot the pilot. And then I saw Dave a few months later. And I was like, yo, Dave, whatever happened to that pilot? And he goes, oh, yeah. They picked it up.
By the way.
And I was like, are you excited about this? He goes, I don't know, whatever. And I was like, okay. He goes, you want to DJ on the show? I was like, yeah, I guess if you want me. Like, are you like even excited about this? And then, so then I just got on the show like that. And then it was the best because like Donnell Rawlings, Ashley Larry would warm up the crowd. And then Dave would come out and he would do some warm up before he started. And we just did like these little musical things. I would DJ something, he would talk about it. And then he was like, yo, you got good chops. Or when you hear something, you know to pull something up right away. He's like, you should try stand up. And years later, here we are.
Damn. Okay. And so I know, right? Gunshots going on over there. So when what made you finally decide to get on stage in 2007? What was going on?
It was a very weird start. I hate the way I started comedy, but I was on the radio and people would always say I was funny on the radio. Yo, you funny, you kind of funny. So my hustler mind was like, why do they keep saying that? How do I make money with funny? You know what I mean?
Up.
Okay, I have a following. I could get, because of the radio, I can get a room at any club or a night at any club. And like other people, like Ed Lover had like a show he was doing at Caroline's. Wendy Williams had a show she was doing at Comics. Like, so it was just like their comedy night. So like, all right, I'm gonna try that. And I just got a club and packed it out. and got comedians. I never put a comedian on my flyer because I learned comedians like cancel a lot of spots. So I was just like Cipha Sounds and comics, and my crowd would just come packed every month, and just, I would. The first one I didn't even host. The first one I just went on stage, said hello to the crowd, and then brought up the host.
Gotcha.
And then the next one I stayed up there a little longer, and then the next one I stayed a little longer. Then the next one I didn't even hire a host. I just started hosting myself.
Oh, okay.
And then getting one laugh was good enough for me. Like, hey y'all, thanks for coming. Da 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 da. Get a little laugh. I was like, oh, this is
good night, everybody.
Yeah. Here's the next comic. And then like after like a year or so, some of the comics were like, we were kind of funny about doing this show in the beginning because a lot of radio DJs do these shows around the country, but they like steal material or they act like they just using us. But I was like, no, I love it. And I was like paying well for like a spot. And like the club was like, you only have to give them like $20. I was like, I'm not giving no man $20. Like that's foul. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'll give them $100 or $200, and they were like, you're paying way too much. And the comments were like, yeah.
Right. But you built those relationships. I'm sure you still cool with them people today.
To all of them. Like, if you got beef with me, you got hate in your heart. Cause I don't have, I squash beef right away all the time.
Yeah, that's what
I heard you thought I said this or this happened. Like, can we squash this? Like, I don't let it linger, yo.
Nah, straight up, I'm the same way. So we wrapping up. I got a few more questions for you. One is, how did you link up with Michael Che? And let me speak on Michael Che before you do. This dude is the truth. I'm very hard on stand-up comedians. I mean, I pride myself as being like one of the up and coming. I mean, I've done some things in my life. Look at that. Man, Hannibal and Michael Che. But I went to New York. I was in New York doing some clubs, and Chappelle was headlining Radio City Music Hall.
Oh yeah.
And I went on the night where all the SNL cast members.
I wasn't there that night.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the night I went. Me and my homeboy went.
It was like Colin Jost, Leslie Jones, Pete Davidson,
and Michael Che.
Yeah.
Fire night. Solid lineup, right? And everybody was funny. But it was something about Michael Che. I said, and this is the comedian in me. This is like, we tough on other comedians, so we sitting back and I'm like, this motherfucker got it. I'm like, he got it. Like on some like going down as one of the greats, got it.
Thank you. I always say that.
How did y'all link up, and then how did y'all start going on the road and touring together?
Okay, first of all, I want to say I personally hate Michael Che with a passion, with a deep, heartfelt passion. I hate this guy. Michael Che, I was doing a show at Caroline's, the same show I was telling you about earlier. I used to do that comics. That club closed down. I moved it to Caroline's. The booker in Caroline's kept pushing this. I want you to see, can my friend Michael Che do the show? Michael Che. I was like, who? I don't know who that is. Mind you, at the time, I was still like in the urban world, like booking Talent, Capone, all those guys, which I love. She kept pushing this Michael Che guy. So I was like, all right, I'll give everybody a shot, So he comes down, and the funny thing is this is before he had any TV, anything. And he was so excited to meet me, like one of his favorite radio guys. And like Michael Che's probably like 10 years younger than me, maybe, 10 years younger than me. And like, we just hit it off on some New York shit. Like he had a Mets hat, you know what I mean? Like, and before he even did comedy, we just hit it off. Like he's like, yo, psych, I can't believe I'm meeting you. This is so crazy. And we just became cool. So he did this show and he ripped. But I could tell his style was a little different than everyone else. Like I didn't know how to even judge comedy back then.
Right.
I could tell something was a little different. And then from that moment on, literally just friends. Like I don't think we did a show together for like another year. You know what I mean? Just like friends. and he would stop by once in a while, and then like I would see him at the Comedy Cellar, and then we were just cool. And then then a couple years flash forward, I get into the Comedy Cellar, and now I see him a lot more. And I said, and I got my own money. Like, that's the thing. Like, I started comedy late. I already had a whole nother career.
Right.
So I had bread. I wasn't like this one of these young, struggling comics. And I always wanted to know what it was like to go on tour or do comedy on the road. I only did really New York and a couple other little hood shows around the country, but not really went on do these clubs. So I said, hey, Che, can I go with you to see how it is? Because he was one of the coolest ones. Like, a lot of comedy people don't know my radio life. Like,
gotcha.
They have no idea who I am. They just think I'm some dude that's starting comedy. I mean,
even in New York? Are you saying when
you
in
New York? Even in New York. It's funny because like I'll be with all these comics, these white comics in the Comedy Cellar, and they're just talking to me like the guy who's here, Cipha, and we'll go outside and some like 4 black kids will walk by and they'll be like, oh shit, Cipha Cellar, be taking pictures and shit, and they're like, what's happening?
Right.
Who are you?
Right.
I met the Griselda dudes, you know, Griselda, like Conway and the group, it's like a hip hop, they're like real underground.
Okay.
I met them in front of the Cellar, like they were going nuts. But anyway, so I asked Che if I could go on the road with him. And he goes, I don't really like bringing people, because Che is like, he does not want to be annoyed at all, yo. He hates traveling. He hates touring. He hates like being on a plane, all that stuff. He hates it.
Right. So
I was like, no, I don't want to open. I just want to just go. I'll pay my own way. I just want to see what it's like. So he's like, yeah, come with me.
He like, well, shit, come on. If I don't got to pay for nothing.
Like Sife's cool. He knows I'm cool. Like, yo, I go with him somewhere, and he goes, you know, once you're in a green room out of town, you know, comics, you know, we link up. So he's like, yo, you want to do 10 minutes? So I said, yeah, I don't want to push for it, but if it's cool. And then I went up to 10 minutes, and then the host sucked. Which is,
anybody that don't know, most comedy clubs, the hosts do suck in different cities.
Because you're not hosting. You're just doing a set. You got to host.
Right.
So he's like, yo, can you do me a favor? Can you host the next show and just bring up the host as the feature? I said, yeah, of course. And from there, like, he was like, yo, you want to go to New Orleans next week? You want to do this? You want to do that? And then after that, it was like, I'm his road guy. And it's like, bro, I do not see him during the day. He does not leave his room until showtime.
I'm the same way, though. When I'm on the road,
I'm out in the town, baby.
You know what's so funny is the reason I don't do it is because I'm such a physical comedian that I'm saving up all my energy.
That's true.
For them 2 shows that night.
That's true.
But like, I remember I was on the road. I opened up for D-Ray on the road one time in Orlando. He was like, we going to Disney World. You want to go? I'm like, fuck, I can't walk around Disney World fucking for 5 hours and then perform with you for 2 shows. I can't do it, bro. I stayed in that hotel room.
Yeah, I just want to say this, a point you made earlier, and I always say this. When I tell you Michael Che is one of the greats that I don't even think he knows it yet, and he doesn't do enough shows for everyone to know it, but yo, that dude's mind, the way he writes jokes, the way I've seen him, and like, I'll throw him a tag every once in a while, because I'll stay on stage with him behind it. Sometimes I DJ, like if we do theaters, I DJ and do comedy. So I'll stay on stage with him and he'll like riff with me, and I write down everything he says, and I'll go back to him. I'm like, yo, you said this. He'll be like, I said that? Like, he don't even.
Yeah, I mean, see, he really do have a show. Even his first special, the second one, the Netflix one, he definitely has a Chappelle vibe. But it's one of those like prior Eddie Murphy situations, where it's like he's coming into his own as Michael Che. And he's a crowd. I know I probably annoyed the fuck out of him. He was on Instagram Live one time talking to Russell Peters, and I was like, in the comment section, I was like, oh, you gonna act like you don't know who the fuck I am, but I was just bullshitting, but he don't know me. So I'm sure he was like, who the fuck, if he saw it, I don't even know if he saw it. But if he did see it, I'm sure he's like, who the fuck is Justin Hires? And I'm like, nigga, I'm verified, goddammit. But nah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that dude. What is, I got like 2 more questions. What is the greatest night in you and Dave Chappelle's comedy history? Like what's one of them nights where you like, that was a fucking incredible, insane night?
There's no way. That's a whole nother podcast. Like with Dave, I've met Madonna, Paul McCartney. I hung out with the black mayor of Little Rock, Arkansas, the black mayor of San Francisco. I forgot her name, something London. I got to talk to the creators of the Game of Thrones for hours on some nerd Game of Thrones shit. I've met all my favorite rappers. I'll tell you this. So I'll give you 2, right? For example, on the lower side, I got Dave right before pandemic. I'm gonna say December. Dave was like, "Yo, I'm about to go do a run. Can you come with me?" You guys shut up. Sorry. He goes, "Can you do a run with me? I'm gonna do Denver, Chattanooga, Little Rock, and like somewhere in North Carolina. I forget which, Raleigh or something like that. Yeah, Raleigh, Durham." He goes, "Denver is just you and me. We at Comedy Works. You know that club, Comedy Works?"
Yeah, yep. I was supposed to headline there, and then I got bumped by Wanda Sykes, and they never rebooked me. Shout out to Comedy Works.
I mean,
it's Wanda Sykes.
I
know. That I had to respect it. I said it's Wanda Sykes. And then I met Wanda Sykes. I met Wanda Sykes maybe a year later, and she was super fucking nice. I was like, all right.
It's Wanda Sykes, bro. So it's just me. Dave is like, "You DJ, then you do 20, 25 minutes, and then bring me out."
Fire.
I've been doing stand-up with Dave for years and DJing, and this is the first time he heard my full set. He was like, because the green room is literally right behind the stage. I get off stage, he's like, "Yo." One of those, you know what I mean? Like giving me the face like of acceptance. And yo, my heart melted, bro. And he was like, "Yo, you got some good stuff." And we would talk for hours, and then we did another show, and then the whole weekend was just me and him. So that's my favorite personal moment with Dave, because when you're around Dave, there's so many people around, be celebrities, be regular people, be other comedians. This was like just me and him. Then we go to Europe, literally right in February, right before we got on lockdown. And we're chilling in London for 3 weeks. We did like a residency in London.
Ooh.
And then we went Germany, Amsterdam, and Paris. We go to Paris. It's Fashion Week. We got 2 nights of shows. We go to do the shows, and then we go out afterwards. And he goes, "Yo, not everybody could come, but we're going to Mick Jagger's house." So I was like, okay. We go to Mick Jagger's house. Some like, like some chateau. Like it looks crazy. Like everything you think like in the movies when they show like these weird rich party. We go to Mick Jagger's house.
They're wearing masks. There's blind women around with titties out walking around, dope on the table.
Not yet, but I feel like later on in the night, that's what it is. So Mick Jagger's dancing with this tall black model. She's like this big supermodel. I forgot her name, but she's like, I've seen her on covers of magazines. So when we go in there, I'm talking to this lady who is descendant of Spanish royalty. And we just having a conversation. And then me and her are talking, and we're sitting down at these 2 chairs, and the model chick comes over to me. She goes, "Excuse me, is my purse over here?" I go, I look around. "No, there's no purse here." She goes, "No, I was sitting here. I think my purse is here." So me and the Spanish princess looking around. I go, "Sorry, I don't see a purse." And she goes, okay. She leaves and comes back like 5 minutes later. She goes, my purse is here. My purse is here, my handbag. And I'm like, uh-oh, like, is this the Puerto Rican dude getting accused of stealing a purse? Right? So I like open my hoodie. I'm like, no, there's nothing here. I pick the chair up. I'm like, I don't see anything. I look over at Dave. He's hysterically laughing. Like, he could come over and because they don't know who I am, but Dave could come over and be like, "No, this guy's with me. He wouldn't steal a purse." He's dying laughing, tapping everywhere. Look. Yo, so I'm like, "Thanks a lot, Dave." She leaves, comes back with Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones. He's like, "Hey, mate, is that a purse here?" I'm like, "Yo," there's no purse.
There's no purse, yo.
No purse here. Then I look over at Dave is like, bent over, like cracking up. And I'm like, I'm about to get arrested or escorted out by Mick Jagger, and Dave's laughing. Then this dude comes over with the he's like, yeah, he's over here. You know what I mean? Like earpiece, talking to his watch. He goes, "Hey buddy, I think there's a purse over here." Bro, I couldn't jump higher up. I'm like, where's a purse? You could search me.
Now, what's your attitude at this point? Are you like starting to get frustrated, like, yo, there's no fucking purse around here? Or are you still like, hey man, it's no purse?
No, like not frustrated, like angry, because I don't really get that way. I'm like, I'm getting a little scared.
Gotcha.
I'm about to get accused. Like, I don't want to go to French jail. Like, I watch movies. It's not a happy place.
That's a different type of wee you would be getting. So no, you don't.
Bro, this guy Dave is like that's how you know Dave is like one of us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he can be around all these superstar celebrities, but he's just a kid from DC from the block, and he's laughing. And then finally, Dave's photographer, he's from Paris. This guy Matthew, he's actually the one who brought us there, comes with the girl's purse from another room. I was like, no, your purse was in the other room. Yo, no one said sorry. No one said pardon me, nothing. They just, they just like almost still giving me an attitude, like if I like placed it in the other room.
Yeah, I'm about to say, they think you took it and put it in another room.
Yeah, so whatever. But that being said, the way Dave was laughing at me, like, is he gonna let me go to jail so that he can have a fun story to tell? Like,
man, I was telling somebody the other day, he is the GOAT. It's not one of the GOATs. You see what I'm saying?
There's no such thing. I don't understand when people say one of the GOAT. Like, there's only GOAT.
Right. He is the GOAT to me. Like, at one point, it was like Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. Even at one point for me, it was Chris Rock, where I thought Chris Rock was the greatest. And then when Chappelle started,
They were.
Yeah, they were. You're right. And then when Chappelle started putting out them Netflix, because how I look at it is every great I judge a comedian on how great they are based on how many classic specials they have.
Yeah, but that's like Eddie.
I feel like he had 2 classic specials. Me personally.
He only had 2.
No, that's how great he was.
But like, go ahead. How many great specials they have?
Well, when Chappelle started putting out those Netflix specials, greatness after greatness, I'm like, well, he's lapped everybody. He lapped everybody. Like, nobody has more than 2. Richard Pryor don't have more than 2 great specials. Chris Rock don't have. I feel like Chris Rock has 2. I feel like Brain the Pain and Bigger and Blacker are the 2 classics. Now, he's had other great specials after that, but I feel like those are the classics.
Classics, yeah.
I feel like Kevin Hart got one good classic, which for me is Seriously Funny. You can say Seriously Funny or Laugh at My Pain. For me, it's Seriously Funny.
Which one is that? The first one?
That's the one when the Cavs and LeBron, they're all in the audience. That's like the second one. Yeah. So for me, and that's the one like, my mama told me to tell you. So that's that one for me. Here's the last thing that you don't know about. I don't even know how I got on that shit, but shout out to Chappelle. He's a GOAT.
He's a GOAT.
Last thing, you don't even know this, I don't think. You host Laugh Mob Laugh Tracks on True TV. Originally, I don't know if you know this, they wanted me to host that show.
No way.
Yes. Some of the producers used to see me performing in LA, in the Belly Room and stuff like that. They approached me. They was like, yo, hey, there you go. They approached me at the clubs. They was like, yo, we got this show. We reenacting comedy bits and stuff like that. And I had seen some of those like on World Star. So I automatically knew. I said, oh, this gonna go for a run. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'm down. I said, I'm down to host that. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I think I might have been did Rush Hour. I don't know if you know. Did Rush Hour, the TV show. So I was like, I might have had already did. I'm not sure where I was at in my career, but I was like, cool. I'm down for that. So it was like, cool, Justin. We go let True TV know you gonna be the host of this show. Bet. Then I get a.
Who told you that?
I don't want to say. I don't want to say.
Come on.
I don't want to say. So they was like, yo, you gonna be the host of the show. Bet. Then I get a call back from the producer. They're like, yeah, the network True TV wants to go with Cipha Sounds. I was like, the DJ? They was like, yeah. I said, what the fuck? I said, he ain't no comedian. He ain't no. So I didn't know. I knew. This is how I knew you was getting into comedy. I believe you had. Did you have like a comedy corner segment at the radio station at one point?
Yeah.
The power of YouTube, right? That's how much of a comedy nerd I am. I remember when you started doing those. So I was like, he ain't doing stand-up. I said, do he do stand-up like that? I said, I know he do the little segment or whatever back in the day, because you weren't even doing them anymore by this point. And I was like, I don't think you were. And I was like,
doing what?
The comedy corner on the radio. I think you had already left the radio by that point.
Yeah.
So I was like, he do stand-up like that? They was like, well, yeah. So I was like, all right. I was like, well, fuck it. You know, y'all go ahead and have your fucking Cipha Sounds host your show. So, but this is when I knew you deserved it, though. I seen you in LA and you came to like the Belly Room or somewhere, and I saw you perform. And I said, oh, he's actually funny. I'm like, no, he's a stand-up. I'm like, this nigga's good. I'm like, he's good. So that's when I was like, oh, I get it now. But at the point, at the time period when they told me you was hosting it, I hadn't seen you do stand-up. I didn't even know you was a stand-up comedian like that. So it kind of threw me. How it came about for you, and what's the word on that show?
First of all, I appreciate you even saying that, because I care about the craft so much. I want to be great. I don't know if I'll ever be great. I like being good. But I care about it so much. But first of all, I'm gonna tell you, you dodged a bullet, because they did not let me be funny on that show whatsoever, yo. They hated. If I said anything funny, they were like, "Cut, stop, take that out. How dare you say something funny, you piece of shit."
Why do they do that if it's a comedy show?
Man, you want me to get into the minds of executives? Listen, I can't do it. But yeah, I got this show. It's a lot of different ways how I got into the mix. I think they wanted somebody who knows comedy but has also like hosted stuff. Like I was on MTV for a while. This girl, oh man, I forgot her name. I think it's Naima. She's the one that put my name in the hat and then eventually got it. So I always thank her. But yeah, it was a great show, but there was way too many people involved. It was way too many. Like everyone was the boss.
Right. Like
I try to like give suggestions, but like network, and there was like 7 executive producers. I was like,
yeah,
oh, this is gonna go. This is a recipe for disaster. And I'm very proud of the show itself, but like it wasn't, you know, when something is your show or you're just hired to be the host, like I try to make it my show and they just would not let me. So I was just a great host and I got a good check out of it, but they did not do that show right. That show could have been huge.
Yeah, man. I do know about that, because that was the same issue I had with Rush Hour, the TV series, which is, it's not my show. You try to make it your show, but the network and all these execs are saying like, would a cop say that? It's like, nigga, have y'all seen Rush Hour? Like Carter says what the fuck he says whatever. He's wild. Would a cop do that? That's all I kept hearing. You know, and even when
you was taking the script and like making it your own.
I was trying to make it my own improv, you know, even the music selection though. Like, why are y'all playing rock and roll music?
Yeah.
And it's Rush Hour. Like, he would clearly be listening to the Baby. You see what I'm saying? Like, or some type of hip hop, or at least 90s R&B music, something that's of the culture, you know? So I completely understand how it's like to be the star, number one on the call sheet or something. But if it's not your show, if you're not an EP on it, none of that shit really matters when it comes to control.
Yeah, none of it matters.
So what's next for you, man? What else you working on? You working on anything? You know, you want to talk about, or you just chilling out, or what?
Well, I know we're having a great conversation, and it seems like everything's great, but I don't know if you noticed, the world has ended.
It looks beautiful in your
November.
background.
November is not going to be any better. But I've been doing a lot of shows in New York. Like we do these little shows outside, these little sidewalk shows or
I love seeing that.
restaurant, just to keep up with it, just to keep doing jokes. I'm working on Michael Che has a show on HBO Max, a sketch show that I'm working on.
Yeah, I saw that. I might low key hit one of y'all up about that. I mean, I'm on MacGyver right now, but I mean, man, that looks like a fire thing to be a part of.
You could definitely get on it. Like, just hit Michael Che in his comments. Tell him
Michael gonna be like, this fuck again. I'm like, hey man, listen, brother, I apologize for the bullshit. Listen, man, can I get on your show?
Like it's a sketch show, but it's like there's a core cast, but there's a lot of roles that he wants to give to people. So you never know.
I started out in sketch, actually. I used to do YouTube. Before YouTube was like the place to go, I had a lot of videos go viral. That's actually how I got my start in LA, was my YouTube videos, sketches. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm working on that. I'm working on my own. Like I'm just using this time to like work on projects I've always wanted to work on. I'm doing a story about my whole Hot 97 career.
That sounds fire.
And then I'm starting this mentorship program, which is going to be really big. That's my give back. Like I didn't talk about it much on this interview, but like being an intern and working for free at all these different places got me to where I am today. And it's a skill to know how to like I was saying with Michael Che, like I know he doesn't like to be annoyed. So I made sure I mentioned that in my pursuit to open for him.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So like you gotta know who you're talking to, know what they're into, know what they're not into, address that. You know what I'm saying? Like I did a couple shows. I did 6 shows with Louis C.K. Literally, I came back from Europe with Dave Chappelle, and then I did 6 shows with Louis C.K. as the shit was locking down.
Wow.
And like I called 3 or 4 people that opened for him, and I was like, how does he work? Because I never worked with him before. Do you do this? Do you do? Some people like to talk after the show. Some people don't. Some people like to, you know what I mean? Like go to breakfast. Some people don't. So like I do my research. So I'm trying to teach that.
That's very smart.
It's a skill. It's a skill that a lot of people don't. And I don't know why I got good at it. Is because I didn't come from money. I didn't have a connected family. I just had to figure out ways in. And every job I got, I told Jay-Z, I worked for Pharrell, I worked for a bunch of people. I said, hey, can I work here for free? And they're like, yeah, okay. And then I make myself so invaluable that eventually they hire me. That's my way of doing it.
You let me tell you, man, you have done it and you're doing it the right way, man. Like I said, I appreciate you to come on here. Like I said, I created this platform to celebrate living legends and people I feel like making legendary moves. And also I created this because I know how hard it is at times to even get on a late night talk show.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? They won't always have us, how hard it is to even get on a show like Ellen sometimes. And so to create a platform, and what I'm trying to do is just build up this platform. So people of your caliber, these people that need to be celebrated, people that's out here talented, making moves out here, have a place to come to promote whatever they want to promote, to talk about whatever they want to talk about. So I salute you, King. Continue doing your thing, man. Absolutely. And I appreciate you for coming on.
And next time I'll have my name written on the wall right here.
Yeah, this really just a Sharpie that I fucking my homeboy bought this from Target, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put this on the back. So, but hey, man, appreciate you, bro.
Thank you so much, bro.
All right, man. Peace.
Still, once we get back to life.
Hey, will do.
Man, thank you, bro.
Peace.